Your home for sure needs a name or basically like a custom mini brand behind it when you're preparing for sale. Now, I know you might be thinking, Sterling, that's total hogwash. No, you don't. You just list a property for sale and it sells in a matter of seconds and you're done. But, if you've been in residential real estate for, over a decade like I have, you'd probably understand that it's not a commodity. And there's a lot, that's attached to it, a lot of emotion that's attached to it. So let me share with you at least the 3 things why I believe that there should be a custom brand or a name behind a home. So the first one is that you need to have buyer vision. That is so key for anybody making any type of purchase. It's not, we look at homes and, unless they're a tract home, it's not actually that cookie cutter, especially when you get into the interiors of places, they're totally different. There's so much character, so much personality, a lot of features that are different than other places, even in tracts, people make upgrades over time. So with that, you have a home that you can't just list the features and benefits and expect people to have that emotional tie or be able to have that vision. So you put a name behind something that kind of boils it all down, really exemplifies and reflects what the property is. You can say a lot more with saying less. So buyer vision, absolutely key. The next thing is differentiation. So, in business, obviously you always learn that differentiation is, one of the best things you can do. You could even lose the first mover, advantage. And as long as you can do something better than everyone else, you can win out. So differentiation, having a different mindset and just presentation with the property by having a name is one of those things where it's invaluable. There's a study that was done in 2014 by Globrix, which is now Zoopla, and they found that 1 out of 14 people that were sampled in their survey would pay more for a home just solely based on the fact that it had a name. If it had some prestige behind that name, some historical relevance, then it increased even exponentially from there. The other thing too is that out of the folks that said that it wouldn't make a difference for them, they wouldn't pay more, 40% of those folks still said that they would be more interested in viewing a property just because it had a name. So you're putting that differentiator in there and it's already going to increase the likelihood of folks coming to see your property and essentially increases your buyer pool. The next thing also is trust. And this is, just so important of any business relationship, especially when you're dealing with something as emotional as residential real estate. You want to build that trust almost immediately. So a buyer comes in, they're looking at a home, they see that it's got a name behind it, they see the branding behind it, it's already kind of sticking in their head, they're feeling good, and they're kind of processing the seller at that time as well. They may not have met the seller, but they can see that the seller has taken so much pride of ownership that they're willing to take this extra step in making sure that the property is presented well. So that already gives them that sense of peace that the legacy of this home, the work that's been done on this home over time, is hopefully better than other places. And so with that, even if it's a fixer, even if it's just raw land, we come back to the buyer vision. You need to make sure that people can feel that there's potential here, that something can happen here. So if you have the name or the custom brand behind it that is true and builds that trust, regardless of how the property looks, you don't need to add salesmanship or puffery. You just give it a really good, all-encompassing type of name and maybe a tagline to it that really explains what the property is. You're gonna experience better results. Hopefully, you've gained something from this. I think sellers need to be more cognizant, obviously, when they're bringing a home to market of all of these presentation elements. But for me, whenever I list a property, there's a few exceptions that I haven't given it a name, but on the most of my listings, I give a property a great name that totally exemplifies what is good about this place. And it has worked just about every single time to get it sold and sold for the best price.